Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my 20-week update. This is definitely a super exciting video to film because I am officially halfway through my pregnancy. I literally cannot believe it. I feel like time has really flown by. This has definitely been the best month of my pregnancy so far, honestly by far. I feel like I've just kind of felt fairly normal for the most part. I think the week I turned 17 weeks was when I was really just starting to feel like myself again. And it's kind of funny because I didn't really realize how much I didn't feel like myself before until I kind of like got my energy back and was able to like do things and enjoy things like kind of how I was before. One symptom that I have had is that my nose just seems to be prone to bleeding. This could just be kind of like because it's winter and like the air is more dry, but it's not something that I've ever really had a problem with before. So I think like, you know, being pregnant, that does kind of like affect your nasal passages and like your blood flow and stuff. And I think you are more prone to nosebleeds during pregnancy. Thankfully, I haven't had any like actual nosebleeds. It'll just kind of be like I'll like wipe my nose or blow my nose and it'll be kind of like a little bit bloody. Or like the worst is if I sneeze and there's like blood in it because like you just don't really think about that when you're gonna sneeze and then it just like kind of gets everywhere and it's like. Something else I've noticed is that my boobs seem to be very itchy. So I actually read about this a little bit, and you can have itchy skin during pregnancy just for like because of the hormonal changes. Um, so I mean, it could be that, but I think also just like I think my boobs have grown a little bit, so I think just like the skin stretching out and stuff is causing that itchiness. They're definitely not at all as tender as they were like in the beginning of pregnancy. But I feel like just kind of like around like the areola area, they are still like a little bit sensitive. I have had just some random aches and pains. So sometimes I'll have like a little bit of soreness like in my stomach. Definitely like nothing like prolonged or like severe. I think it's just like kind of like growing pains, you know? Um, and then when I first wake up in the morning, it's usually something. So it'll be like my shoulder hurts or my hip hurts or my back just kind of feels out of whack. So first of all, let me say, if you're going to suggest one of those like traditional crazy long pregnancy pillows, I am very much against those. I just think they are way too bulky and just like the thought of where to store that like when I'm not pregnant anymore is like a nightmare. Um, and also just like it pretty much takes up the whole bed and I'm like, I don't want to do that to Kevin. um, so yeah, what I started doing is I got just like a regular like sleeping pillow. Um, and I would like put it like in front of me when I was sleeping so I could kind of like lean my stomach against it or like throw my leg over it. And I think that I don't know if I would say that that necessarily helped, but it kind of helped me feel comfortable like falling asleep. Um, and then my parents actually recently got me this little wedge. It's probably about like this big maybe. It's just like a little triangular shaped pillow that you can like put in between your legs. So I feel like that actually did help a lot. I feel like I've been having a lot less like hip pain and back pain like since using that. I haven't been having super vivid dreams like I was in the beginning of pregnancy, but I have been having more frequent dreams that are about the baby. I think one of my dreams was just that I was going into labor, but all the rest of them have had this weird recurring theme of me forgetting about the baby. So there's one dream where I had apparently like had the baby, but like I just hadn't like pulled them out of me yet. And like it had been like an entire day in that state, and I was like, oh, I hope my midwife isn't mad that we didn't call her like when the baby was coming, because we were just like, I don't know what to do now, like should we still pull the baby out, or And then it was so weird because I feel like in my dream I kind of like came to the realization that like I wasn't far enough along yet for the baby to be born. It was very strange. Um, and then I also had a couple of dreams where the baby had just been born, and I either like forgot that the baby had been born and like was not caring for them, um, or like I just had forgotten to feed the baby for a long time, and like I'm trying to like think of like why my subconscious is like doing this like reoccurring theme of like forgetting about the baby. I don't know, it's very strange. I feel like I've definitely been really hormonal this month. I feel like I don't even, I don't know. I guess you could say like I take no prisoners. Like I feel like I cannot put up with anything. Like I feel like the slightest bit of annoyance, and I'm just like, no, it's not okay. It's definitely my personality to like take things personally or take things seriously, but I feel like it's been like way extra lately. Like I feel like I really have to like be conscious of that and like actively try to be like understanding when things happen. I definitely went through a phase where I just would like cry over like literally anything. Sometimes like literally nothing. Like I remember one morning I woke up and I started crying because I think the night before I'd been crying, and so when I woke up in the morning I started crying because I was sad that like me being sad the day before I had like made the baby sad, and like literally makes no sense, but here we are. Lots of hormones. Overall, I would say I'm generally just feeling 100% better than I was at my last update, and I I don't know. I'm really curious if it's just like because I'm further along in the pregnancy, or if it has to do with the fact that I was low in vitamin D and my midwife told me to like start taking supplements. I know in my last update I said I thought I'd felt the baby move, but I just like really wasn't sure. And I'm definitely excited to say that I have for sure been feeling the baby move, actually quite a bit. So I think when I was like 16 and a half weeks was the first time that I felt like real definitive movement from the baby. Um, when I was like, okay, that like for sure, definitely 100% has to be the baby. Like it didn't feel like, just kind of like a vague stomach movement. Like it kind of felt like more definitive. Um, and then I remember the day I turned 17 weeks. Um, that was the first time the baby moved like a lot. That was the first day that they were like very active. At least that I could feel, and it was really special because Kevin could actually feel it too, like from the outside. There were definitely still times where the movement felt like very vague, like it was just maybe like a little fish swimming or something. I think by the time I got to 18 weeks, I was starting to feel definitive movement more often. Now that I'm 20 weeks, I definitely feel on the odd occasion, I'll feel like a very strong kick that actually kind of like surprises me a little bit. I feel like the baby really has active days and like more like lazy days. Um, I'm not sure if that's like, I mean, I'm gonna assume that like whatever is happening in there is normal. Um, I know there's definitely like kind of like active periods and like more like restful periods in there. Um, but it's interesting because yesterday I felt movement pretty much throughout the entire day, which I thought was like almost strange. I was like, I feel like the baby's not getting any sleep today. Like they're just partying in there. But it's definitely really nice and like really comforting to just feel the baby moving in there, and know that all seems well. I think this is also the month that the baby first is able to hear sounds from like outside the womb. So we've been trying to like read to the baby, and I've been trying to like talk to the baby, but I feel like it's so awkward. I don't know. I know I shouldn't feel awkward about it, but I just do. Like even if I'm sitting in a room all by myself, Like, I just feel a little bit silly. Like, I'm talking to my stomach, even though it's like the baby. Um, but I almost feel guilty that I'm like not doing enough. I'm like, I already have mom guilt and I'm not even like officially a mom yet. But yeah, I know how important it can be for, the baby's brain development and just like mental stimulation, emotional stimulation, to be able to like hear our voices, and, to hear music and to hear stories. And I just, I definitely feel like I'm not doing enough, but, you know, I think as I get further along, maybe I'll start to feel more comfortable and less like I'm talking to my stomach. Because I remember the last time I started like reading to the baby, I was like, I would just kind of like pause every page or so and wait to see if I felt any movement, and I really didn't. So I was kind of like, so I like finished the book and I was like, well, I guess I just slept through that. Um, and of course, like 2 minutes later, the baby starts kicking. So around 18 weeks, we had our very, very first ultrasound. That was exciting. I feel like it was definitely like a special moment for Kevin and I, just to be able to like see the baby for the first time. The baby is definitely very active in there. Um, so they actually were not able to get all of the pictures that they needed, or at least like not everything very clearly. So we actually had a second ultrasound just yesterday, so the day before I turned 20 weeks. And that was nice because the second ultrasound we had was like a different doctor's office, and they had like a little bit different like ultrasound technology, so we were able to see like a much clearer image of the baby. The baby definitely looked a little scary in the first ultrasound we got, like very like skeletal kind of face, and like I guess just like the way that technology worked, it's like you could see straight through like the baby's eyelids, like into their eyeballs, and it was honestly a little bit creepy. The second ultrasound I liked much better. Like you could actually kind of like see like the baby's like facial features more. It wasn't like so flat. I'm not sure if it was a 3D ultrasound or not. I think so. Um, but yeah, babies are very cute in there. Um, they seem to like to put their hands up by their face and to put their feet over their head. Yeah, definitely super active. Um, so now that we've had those two ultrasounds, they got, all the pictures they needed, everything. Generally speaking, is looking super good. Baby is at like the 50th percentile for growth, which for some reason I feel like 50th percentile sounds bad. I guess like in school or something, if you were 50th percentile, that would be bad. But that's actually like very, very good. It means that like the baby is not like showing that they're like bigger than normal or smaller than normal. They're like 100% like right where they should be for this age. So at the first ultrasound, the baby was 8 ounces, which is insane. And the second ultrasound, they were 11 ounces. So in just like about 2 weeks, they gained 3 ounces, which is just insane. So we did find out the gender, but I actually feel really bad because I'm realizing now this video probably will not go up until January. At the first ultrasound, we found out the gender, and my plan was the next week we were going to do like a little gender reveal. But I just, there were like just quite a few things I needed to do in order to like get that all organized, and I just was feeling honestly just kind of like a little bit stressed and overwhelmed. I think around Christmas time, I just generally, or around the end of the year, I'll just say more generally, I tend to feel a little bit overwhelmed just because we're, buying Christmas presents for people, buying birthday presents for people, and it's just kind of like a lot to keep track of mentally. And I feel like, being pregnant on top of that, and trying to like create a registry and like figure out everything that we're gonna need. Like I felt a little bit stressed, and I was like, it would have been a real push to be able to get everything organized and ready to do the gender reveal before the holidays. And so I was just like, we're just gonna have to wait until after the holidays because it just was not gonna work. So I'm really sorry. We will be announcing the gender at some point in January, I promise. I think the fact that the baby has been gaining weight so rapidly has definitely made me a little bit hungrier. And I think also just because I've been feeling better, I've just been, you know, having a little bit more of an appetite. And that has been super reassuring that, like, you know, things are progressing normally because I have finally started actually gaining weight. So if you haven't watched my previous pregnancy updates, at the beginning of the pregnancy, I was actually losing weight, which, you know, can be completely normal for women in the first trimester, just due to like food aversions or like morning sickness. And I never really had bad morning sickness, so it was kind of, it took me a while to kind of figure out like why I was really losing weight. I definitely did have a lot of like food aversions and like very little appetite. But also I really made quite a drastic change in my diet when I got pregnant, just because I really wanted to, you know, eat healthy and have, you know, the best possible diet for the baby. And obviously I'm not perfect, especially lately. I feel like it's, ever since I've been kind of like feeling good and like haven't had my appetite back, and a lot of my food aversions have gone away. So it's definitely been a lot harder to eat a super healthy diet, and like to kind of like stay away from things that I'm craving that aren't necessarily the healthiest. But I mean, I definitely try to do my best for the vast majority of the time. So I think when I was around maybe like 18, no, I think when I was around 16 weeks, that was kind of like when my weight stabilized and I had like stopped losing weight. And then between then and now, I've actually gained a couple pounds. I would love to say that it's because I've just started eating bigger portions of, you know, super, super healthy foods. But I mean, honestly, I think part of the reason is probably because I haven't been like as, you know, good about my diet lately. Which like I feel like to some degree I've kind of made my peace with. Like obviously I'm still trying to eat healthy. But I think, you know, if I feel like, you know, even though my appetite has like gotten better, even like before pregnancy, I was never someone who had like a huge appetite. Um, like I feel like especially just like sitting down to a meal, like I can only eat so much in one sitting. So because of that fact, if I'm only eating very, 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 very healthy foods, obviously healthy foods are lower in calories and more filling, so I can only put so much into my body. Um, and I definitely was trying to like bulk up my meals by adding like, you know, avocado, sour cream, cheese, like, you know, maybe cheese isn't the best example, but like trying to add lots of like healthy fats to my meals to be able to like bulk up my diet a little bit. But I don't know. I'm just gonna kind of, you know, continue to eat intuitively as I typically do and just kind of like let what happens happens. Like I do kind of believe in like a meaning behind cravings. Um, so like if there's something that I'm craving really, really, really badly, sometimes I'll like Google like, you know, what does it mean when you're craving this? And it's actually quite interesting sometimes. So one of the things I've really been craving is olives, or just like generally kind of like acidic, vinegary foods. Um, and I actually read that when you're craving like citrus or acidic foods, it could mean that you have like low stomach acid, and that is needed to like aid in digestion, especially digestion of protein. So I have been trying to like increase my protein intake throughout pregnancy because that was something that my midwife recommended to me. So I think there actually really could be a correlation there between like why I was craving those acidic foods and like, you know, kind of what my body needed. I'm trying to think what my other cravings were. I've been craving crackers and cheese like crazy. Like I would say not every night, but I feel like almost every night before I go to bed, I'll have just like a tiny bit of like crackers and some cheese. I try not to eat too many crackers just because it's like kind of empty carbs. Um, but I do always try to buy like healthier crackers. Like I'm not eating like Ritz. Like I'll buy like quinoa crackers or rice flour crackers or something like that. I was really loving these almond flour crackers, and then I read that they had cassava flour in them, which I don't think you're supposed to have regularly when you're pregnant, so I stopped eating those. Um, but yeah, I've been really loving cheese. Um, what else? I was really craving pizza, like insanely bad the other night. And we actually had like it's only like this big maybe. We had like a little like mini personal pizza in the freezer, and like I ended up just getting it and eating that because I was like I was that's been the worst craving I've probably had so far. Like I was literally like in the middle of eating something else and I was just like, this is gross. Like like for some reason in my head in that moment it was like every other food it sounded disgusting. And the only thing that sounded good was like pizza. Some of my cravings that I've managed to avoid, I've really been craving a Belgian waffle with like syrup and whipped cream. Um, I feel like that's something I haven't had in such a long time. I feel like I literally haven't had one of those in like 4 or 5 years. Um, but yeah, definitely not something I'm planning on eating. I've also been really craving frosted sugar cookies still. I think I was craving that last update too. And cupcakes. Just something about, I think it's like the whipped cream frosting aspect of things. Like I've really been craving like that creamy texture of foods. Not that whipped cream and frosting have the same texture, but like just like the juxtaposition of like that like soft, fluffy, pillowy, creamy texture with food just like sounds amazing to me. It's so funny because I literally don't think I've ever craved a cupcake in my life. Like, not that I think cupcakes are bad, but like, I'm just typically not a big cake person, so that's kind of been interesting. I have been trying to exercise a little bit more regularly now that I've been feeling better. Definitely not as regularly as I would like, of course, but definitely more than I was doing in the past couple months. Um, One change that I've made though between like my first between my first trimester workout routine and my second trimester workout routine is I've just been trying to focus a lot more on like kind of like strength slash like body weight type of workouts and actually have not really been doing, yeah, I haven't been doing any cardio at all because I've just been worried that like that would kind of affect my ability to gain weight. So I've just been doing a lot of like squats and stretching. Um, like every now and then I'll do kind of like some sort of like arm movement workout, like nothing with weights. Not that there's anything wrong with using weights while you're pregnant, but obviously like I did not use weights before, so like that obviously is something I would have to like work up to. Um, but no, honestly, I did a workout that so it was like a pregnancy friendly arm workout with weights, but I just did it like, you know, without the weights. And like, honestly, it was hard for me. So I feel like that says it all right there. So I checked my app this morning and it said the baby is the size of a banana, which is so crazy. Um, I'm not sure if that is, so I know around 20 weeks is when, instead of measuring the baby from like head to butt, they measure the baby from like head to toe. Um, I guess because maybe that's around the point where they like stop being so curled up and they like stretch out. So I'm not sure if a banana size is curled up or not curled up, but I think at least starting at 21 weeks, it's always like from head to toe. So it says 6.5 inches, 10 ounces, but I already know that this baby is at least 11 ounces. Um, so that's interesting that that's actually bigger than what it says here, yet it was still 50th percentile. And in my other app, it says this is how big hand is compared to how big it will be at birth. It's definitely very crazy. And use the foot. The camera is not focusing. Well, you guys can see the grid, I'm sure. There it goes. So here is my 20-week bump. I still cannot believe that I am halfway through. I feel like on camera it still looks pretty small, and I definitely feel small like in person, but definitely a little bit rounder. I typically try to go just around like the widest point of my stomach. I think I've gained like maybe like a quarter of an inch. It's so strange because I definitely have grown. I don't know. It's truly strange. I think this is gonna be the last week that I measure, probably for a couple updates, because it doesn't seem like the like circumference of my stomach is really changing, just maybe like the shape. I don't know. Like maybe kind of like as my stomach goes out, my back is like going in, or like I don't know. It doesn't seem like that's a very reliable measure of growth. So you guys can just see from the pictures. I hope you guys liked this video. Make sure to like it if you did. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.